again. Thanks for everybody for showing up today. I'm so excited.
Mhm.
All right. So, thank you for the intro. Thank you, Lena. You are so helpful with helping facilitate these workshops. If y'all have not seen me around, I've done a couple makeup workshops with Plume already. We talked a little bit about masculinizing makeup as well as some feminizing techniques as well. We might do more of those in the future too. So if you like my workshop today, keep an eye out. But today I'm gonna really tap into my licensed esthetician expertise and share with y'all some basic skincare tips, how to build a routine, and how to address certain skin concerns that you might experience once you start estrogen or testosterone. But yeah, let's get started. So, for those of us who are already taking hormones, we might have already seen some skin changes. But for those of us who are still considering whether or not we want to start, it's really good to have an idea of what to expect, right? So, if you are taking estrogen, you want to know that it will actually thicken your skin. So, that makes your skin stronger. It also will make you produce less oil, which of course can make you have drier skin and reduce breakouts as well. With estrogen, it could actually make your skin more prone to hyperpigmentation. That just means like discoloration of the skin. And you might experience melasma, which is a skin condition that people who give birth or even are on menopause will get kind of like splotchy brown or gray blue spots on their face or body. And as for testosterone, you're going to get oilier skin that will lead to more clogged pores and breakouts, not just on the face, but on your body as well. And of course, you're going to get an increase in facial hair and body hair, which will lead to ingrown hairs. Although I did want to make a note, if you're on estrogen, if you are shaving, if you're waxing, you might still be getting ingrown hairs just because that happens to anybody, regardless of what hormonal shifts you got going on. And then we could do the next slide. So I just want to flex my credentials a little bit. Besides the fact that, yes, I am a licensed skin professional and I have been since 2018, I also have the firsthand experience to share with y'all. Like I said, or like my intro said, I started tea while on Plume 3 years ago. So that was back in July 2022. That first picture you see is basically around the time where I first did my tea shot. So that was my skin before I started getting skin changes. Just a few months after that in November, that's when I really started to get more breakouts, redness, irritation. This was probably the most acne that I had personally had in my whole life. Not even in my teenage years did I break out this much. I was experiencing cystic acne for the first time, which is a lot of like deep, painful pimples you can't really pop. And after that, I started to go to my doctor. I went to get a referral to a dermatologist who ended up prescribing me tretinoin. You might have heard of it, but tretinoin is basically vitamin A, aka it's a kind of retinoid. You might have heard of retinol, and that's something you can get over the counter. Tretinoin is something that will deliver those same results that retinol gives you, but it's just a higher dosage and it's going to give you those changes more quickly. And the third picture, that's about a year after I started kind of getting into my skincare routine for my new skin. And then September started to clear up significantly. And today I did you a favor and I put no makeup on my skin so you can see what my skin looks like nowadays. I want to really point out that, these are just a few pictures, but it is totally fine and normal if your skin changes. Progress is not linear whatsoever. You'll have clear skin for a couple months and then you'll get a breakout that you'll have to deal with for another month or two. And then it calms down and then kind of just keeps happening. Okay. Skin is affected by more than just hormones, it's also genetics, of course, external factors. Our skin is the largest organ of our body, so it's going to reflect whatever's happening internally. Let's go to the next slide. Here's our transgender agenda for today. We're going to talk about how to analyze your skin before we can talk about what products to use, how to make a routine. We have to learn how to really notice what our skin's going through and what to look out for, because that's going to help inform our decisions around what products we use. Then I'm gonna help you with building a routine. We'll start basic, but then I'll also teach you how to zhuzh it up a little bit if you have some skin concerns that you really want to target. And then some best practices, which is going to be a section on more practical ways to literally get yourself to do the skincare. Because knowing is one thing, having the products is another, but we are humans with brains, and sometimes they know better, and we don't want to do what we know is best. So there are some things I figured out in that regard. And then we'll recap everything at the end just so we really make sure we solidify that knowledge. But as Lena said at the beginning, you can ask questions throughout this whole workshop. So if anything comes up, go ahead and send that in the Q&A. But if it's something I'm going to address soon, I'll let you know, and we'll eventually get there. So let's start with the skin analysis. You might have heard people say like, oh, skin type, blah blah. What does that really mean? Your skin type, think of it as something that you will have for an extended period of time in your life. Your skin type, like in your teens, it might have been different from what it is now. And that is how we determine what kind of products do we go for? What do we need for our skin? With oily skin, I feel like a lot of people think they're oily, but you're oily if your skin becomes shiny and oily almost immediately after you wash your face. Some people literally cannot go like a few minutes without their skin producing oil. You will see that your pores are larger, they're more visible, and because you're producing more oil, you get more breakouts. And with oily skin, your skin, of course, will look shiny. The way that I look now is not necessarily considered like shiny oily, but this is more of like a glowy look. Oily skin will be very obviously like all over there, all over the face, very, very shiny. And for some people, it might even look dull. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, when you have dry skin, that means your skin is lacking oil and water. When we have a good balance, that's what constitutes a balanced skin type or normal skin type. But with dry skin, you might notice there's roughness, texture, you might have dead skin flaking off. Your pores are small to basically invisible. Fine lines are very, very visible, and it will look dull from the lack of oil. When you have balanced skin, that's also called normal skin. I kind of don't love the term like normal because that makes it seem like, oh, we should all be like this, but it's not bad or good either way. However, when your skin is balanced, it's able to perform its skin functions more healthily, and it's not going to experience conditions like acne or irritation that will be uncomfortable. If your skin is sensitive, that means you're prone to redness and irritation, maybe burning, even when you're just using really gentle skincare products, even some that are meant for sensitive skin. For some people, they might still get irritation. This will include skin conditions like eczema, psoriasis, or rosacea, which those are skin conditions that are diagnosed. And then lastly, combination skin. I think this is very, very common for a lot of people to have like an oily T-zone. Your forehead, your nose, and your chin produce more oil. The pores are bigger there. But then the rest of your face might be more balanced, or maybe even on the opposite side and very, very dry. That's going to look different for different people, but basically, if you have more than one of these skin types happening at the same time, you have combination skin. And now let's look at the next slide.
So we did have one question come in the Q&A box, and you might touch on this, but so the question is, how should you treat rosacea?
Okay, so because rosacea is a very specific skin condition that literally requires a dermatologist to diagnose, I won't be touching upon that in this workshop. We're going over a lot of the basic stuff today, and just like as universal as possible, since I could talk about skin all day long. But rosacea, that's gonna be a whole other thing. And I can't say that I specialize in that either. But I do appreciate the question. No question is off limits, so keep them coming, y'all. Here's a little visual chart, just in case my verbal description didn't really make sense or you want to see what that all looks like. I really love how this breaks up skin type versus skin conditions. Remember how I said skin types? That's gonna be something that lasts for years of your life. Maybe like half of your life you have oily skin, and then in the later half of your life it's more combination or dry. Whereas a skin condition, that is actually rosacea falls under a skin condition. That's something that's more temporary. A lot of these skin conditions, you can treat them and they will also happen at the same time as your skin type. So, for example, you can have oily skin. You could also have dehydrated skin at the same time. That sounds confusing. That sounds like they're the opposite of each other, but dehydrated skin lacks water and oily skin just has a lot of oil. It produces a lot of oil. We don't produce water in our skin. Water is retained through the skincare products that we use. So it's actually very common to have very oily skin, but then you might have flakiness around your nose, for example. And that's a sign of having dehydrated skin. And we'll do the next slide, please. All right. Everybody, regardless of your skin type, your skin conditions, skin tone, whatever it is, you can all follow this 3-step routine. I know if you're on social media and you're watching videos, people have like a bajillion steps. You don't need all of that. And if anything, for some people, doing too much with their skincare routine might just lead to more irritation. So I would say start here. Find a great cleanser that you love that does not dry your skin. The function of a cleanser or a face wash is to be removing dirt, dust, excess oil, sunscreen, and even makeup so that whatever you put on after you wash your face will properly penetrate the skin. You want to actually gently lather your cleanser for about a minute. I think a mistake I see a lot of people do is like put on the cleanser for like 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds, and then wash it off right away. When you do that, you're not properly applying that friction that helps to break down all the stuff on the surface of your skin. And especially if you're using a cleanser that, let's say, it's supposed to treat acne, for example, leaving it on for a minute is actually good. It gives the ingredient time to be delivered to your skin. Cleansing at night, at the end of the day, we should all be doing that because we don't know what's been on our face. We don't know where we've been. But in the morning, if you have really, really dry skin, you might find that washing your face twice a day is a little too much. So that's something you want to kind of figure out over time. And then we want to do a moisturizer. Even if your skin is oily, you do need a moisturizer. When we wash our face, yes, it gets rid of the impurities, but it also gets rid of the oils that we produce that protect our skin. That's why a moisturizer is going to basically restore all those ceramides, fatty acids, and cholesterol that we need to make up our skin barrier, which is basically the first layer of skin that protects us from external elements. Moisturizer will also soften your skin and it'll reduce water loss because we do lose water. If you've ever been in a room that is super cold, AC is on all day, and normally you're not dry, but you feel dry, that's because you're losing water to your environment. So moisturizer helps to reduce that or at least like slow it down. And the last step that everyone hates for me to talk about is sunscreen. If you're spending all this time and money and energy on your basic skincare routine, but you don't want to slap on some sunscreen before you step out or before you work next to a window all day, you're taking 1 step forward and 3 steps back. Just because the UV damage we get from sun can actually exacerbate or cause a lot of skin concerns to come up for us. And a lot of times we don't see those effects until years down the line. So make sure you put on that sunscreen. That's your insurance for the vehicle that is your skincare. And of course, sunscreen is not just a cosmetic product. It's actually treated like a drug because its function is to reduce the chances of skin cancer. If you have lighter skin, especially if you live in an environment that gets a lot of sun, that is always a risk, especially if you're using products that might make your skin more sensitive to the sun. You want to reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours, which, full disclaimer, even though I know better, sometimes I just can't. Sometimes I don't. But as long as you do it in the morning at least one time, we're not shooting for perfection. We just want to try to be consistent and try to just be mindful that if we are going to spend all day outside, we definitely want to take our sunscreen with us. And that little picture with the two fingers, that's the amount of sunscreen we're supposed to be using on our face and neck every time we apply it. So even when we reapply. And then I see a question. How often should we be adding sunscreen per day and what SPF level to look for? So I would say I don't reapply my sunscreen as often in the winter. I also check my weather app every day. If the UV is 3 or under and I'm not really going to be outside, I might actually skip my sunscreen for that day. If it's going to be really, really hot and let's say the UV is over 3 from 10 a.m. to like 5 p.m., math, you'll probably have to reapply 2 or 3 times throughout the day. Ideally. But realistically, I would say do what you can. And then I see another question that kind of has, it's mentioning a moisturizer. Hey Jay, I'm on estrogen. I have sensitive skin. Lately, my skin has been really dry after taking a wonderful warm shower. I've been using a salicylic acid moisturizer that's really thick. Any tips? Okay. I know warm showers feel lovely. Some of us like our showers like steaming, piping hot. Just know you are very much so stripping your skin when you're taking a really, really hot shower. Or even when it's warm, it can still leave us feeling more dry. So I would say if you still love taking warm or hot showers, feel free to do so as long as you replenish your skin afterwards with a moisturizer for your face, body lotion for your body. Otherwise, you are just losing all the juicy goodness that we need when it comes to the oil and like our skin barrier and all that. And then, okay, someone said I got extremely dry hands when I first started estrogen. Is that common or something that happens normally? I would love to know if anybody else is taking estrogen and has experience getting really dry hands. Can you say something in the chat? I personally, I don't think I've heard of that happening, or I don't know if it's common. But I mean, in general, right, you're gonna have drier skin because your skin is just not producing as much oil. Typically, our face produces more oil than the rest of our body. So if your hands are getting dry, I feel like they're always the most prone because we're watching it all the time. Could be related. If anything, though, treat your body's skincare similar to how you would your face. If your face is dry, you put on moisturizer, right? If your body is dry, put on a body lotion. And there's different kind of weights and in terms of how moisturizing products are, how lightweight they are. It's a lot of trial and error and also honestly research into what different brands carry. Okay, so somebody said I'm on estrogen. I've always had really dry hands, but I do feel like I've noticed it more since starting estrogen. And then the person who asked the question said they get extremely dry and cracked, and it's not because of excessive washing. Okay, yeah. It really could just be so many things. Internal and external factors affect our skin. There, try like a overnight hand mask, maybe. It's like a little disposable glove that you put on and you leave it on overnight. And maybe you can find a hand soap that won't be as stripping, just so it doesn't make it worse. Okay, I see a couple more questions. Somebody asked, could you explain what the purpose of a toner is? That depends on the toner. So the idea people usually have of what toners are is like, oh, it's astringent, it dries my skin, and that is one type of toner. That's more so kind of like the classic, maybe what you would see back in the 2000s kind of toner, but nowadays, especially with Korean skincare, you'll see hydrating toners. And honestly, a lot of times it's marketing. A lot of toners, you could even use them as like serums. They just are in a bigger bottle. Sometimes they're more watery and thin. But for people who have dehydrated skin, so let's say you're oily, but you're dehydrated, you can still benefit from a hydrating toner as long as it doesn't contain oil. That way, you can deliver that lightweight hydration, which is water content, deep into the skin. And when you use a toner, before you use a serum or before you use a moisturizer, that toner basically kind of dampens your skin a little bit and it makes it so that your skin will absorb whatever comes afterwards more deeply and more easily. Hopefully that was helpful. I love toners personally. How does sunscreen blend with makeup that's been applied in the morning when we apply it every 2 hours? Okay, this is like the age old question. How do I reapply my sunscreen over makeup? I would say if you're wearing very, very light makeup, you could get away with using the same sunscreen you used at the beginning of the day. Rather than like rubbing it, you can pat it on. I've also seen people use like a sponge. They'll take a little flat sponge with them on the go to pat on that sunscreen. But honestly, if you're wearing a full face of makeup, as in all your skin is covered, especially if you're using a foundation, there are actually ingredients in makeup that will shield your skin from the sun, even if it doesn't say that it contains SPF. This is something I've noticed myself too, because before I started regularly wearing sunscreen, I was wearing a full face like every day, full glam, showing up to the Chipotle, clocking in for my shift every day. And I still noticed that my face was lighter than my neck. And I recently learned that, yeah, it's because there's certain ingredients in products that have pigment that will actually kind of like cover your skin. So it kind of provides sunscreen. It's not a sunscreen though. But yeah, that's something you might have to kind of play around with and figure out. There are SPF mists and powders and all that, even sticks that claim that they won't mess up your makeup. But the best way to actually still get the right protection that's listed on the bottle, just use the same sunscreen you used. The lotion, the cream, it's always going to be easier to get on enough and cover enough versus a powder or spray. But those could be helpful too if you have nothing else. Okay, do we reapply makeup every time we reapply SPF? Some people might. That's if you're wearing something light though. So let's say you're wearing eye makeup, you're not gonna have to reapply your eye makeup. You can get close to it, but you don't have to go all the way over. And if you just say you wear lip gloss or you wear blush, you might have to reapply those. But again, if you're wearing like a full face, especially if it has quite a bit of coverage, you might not need to, put on the sunscreen and slather it all in. So you want to rely on other ways of protecting your skin from the sun, like covering up, wearing a hat, staying in the shade. It's not just sunscreen that will help with preventing skin cancer. It's just, yeah, a lot of different ways to go about it. And then I will have SPF recommendations later. So you'll see it's actually on the next slide if we can skip over to there. And then someone said, what's the difference between face sunscreen and just regular sunscreen? So you will definitely feel a difference. If you use a body sunscreen on your face, it probably won't feel that great. I would say too, honestly, a lot of American sunscreens just don't feel pleasant, and that's why a lot of people don't wear sunscreen. So look into Korean sunscreens or Japanese sunscreens because the industry over there has been perfecting sunscreens for a lot longer, and it's just a bigger part of everybody's beauty routine. So they have more elegant formulations that won't feel nasty. Some body sunscreens say that they're also for the face, so those won't feel as like heavy or greasy, or maybe they won't have fragrance to them. Some body sunscreens do, just because sunscreens tend to smell like something, just the nature of it. But yeah, there are some good face and body ones out there. I personally haven't found one that I like though. So yeah, let's talk about some example routines. Now that we learned how to analyze our skin and identify our skin types, skin conditions, and we know what the basics are, I kind of did some examples here. You don't have to buy every single product, you don't have to do everything specific to what I'm recommending, but I'll explain the logic of why I put these together. For dry skin, that's going to be the top row here. The cleanser is from a brand called Prequel. This cleanser is made with 50% glycerin, and glycerin is great to hydrate your skin. So although it still foams and lathers and makes you feel like you're washing your face and getting clean, it doesn't strip or dry your skin after you rinse it off. And that one is actually a body wash as well. So I love that cleanser. It just feels really good and it's great for sensitive skin too. The moisturizer I would recommend for dry skin is from Biossance. This is their Mega Repair Cream. And what I love about this is that it's very rich, but it doesn't feel heavy, and it's definitely not sticky. It gives you a smooth finish that really locks in moisture, and it also contains ingredients that basically help with evening out your skin tone over time. It just doesn't exfoliate or anything, so even if you have sensitive skin, that could be a good option. And then the sunscreen recommendation, Black Girl sunscreen for kids, SPF 50. I believe it's less than $15. This is technically a face and body sunscreen, one that I've tried many times and I love and recommend constantly. Even if you have more sensitive skin, I think that could still be an option that works because there's no fragrance in it at all. I didn't notice that it burned my eyes when I applied it in that area, but that's going to be different for everybody. This is super accessible. You could go to a drugstore and they probably carry it. Just make sure if you do want to try that one out, don't get the mineral sunscreen. This is the one that says on the bottle, no white cast. So check that one out. I really, really love that one. For oily skin, I would recommend a cleanser that has some sort of ingredient to target oil or acne. So I love the different benzoyl peroxide cleanser here. This one is a little bit, it doesn't lather, which is good. If you're oily, I think the immediate instinct is to like strip your skin as much as possible. But ideally, you would maintain a good balance in your skin while targeting acne and while helping your pores kind of get rid of all the excess oil that leads to breakouts. Benzoyl peroxide is a great ingredient because it kills the bacteria that causes acne. You could actually even use this on your body to get rid of body odor as well. So a cool multi-use product there. One thing I'll say about benzoyl peroxide, you don't want to wear your favorite shirt when you wash your face with this because it will bleach it. So that's one thing. If you have tried benzoyl peroxide and it's a little too much, you could also go for something with salicylic acid in it. A lot of acne cleansers will have either one. And again, make sure you're cleansing gently, lathering it in for at least a minute. Otherwise, you're not going to really get the full benefits and you're not going to get a thorough cleanse. And oily skin still needs moisturizer. So this Purito moisturizer is lightweight enough, but still leaves a light kind of layer of nourishment on top. If you are super, super, super oily, you might want to try to find a moisturizer that says it's a gel. This one is more of a gel cream. So it could also work if you have combination skin or if you have drier skin, but you don't like the feel of heavy moisturizers. But what I like about this one is just the fact that it is very light, but it doesn't feel like it just evaporates off my skin. Because even though I don't personally have super oily skin, if my moisturizer is not like substantial enough, my skin will still dry out and it'll start to flake, even though normally it doesn't do that. So ideally, your moisturizer is going to be meant for your skin type, and it's not going to feel too heavy or too light for what you need. And then I love the Supergoop Every Single Face SPF. This is actually more of like a watery kind of lotion consistency. So it feels like a moisturizer. And that's what is so nice about it. This could be a 2-in-1 if you are super duper oily or super duper acne prone in the morning. Instead of also doing moisturizer, you might be able to get away with just doing sunscreen. That's something you'll just kind of have to play around with and figure out and see if that works for you. But this is an SPF 50, which I love. I would definitely recommend 30 SPF to 50. 50 is ideal and it's great. It's just that sometimes it might be a little hard to find an SPF 50 that doesn't have a white cast. But this one does not, even on very, very deep skin tones. So I love that one. And it also does not sting my eyeballs, which is really, really hard to find. And then in the last row, we got a sensitive skin routine. When you're sensitive, you really want to avoid fragrances. Some people with other skin types might be okay with fragrance in their skincare. They might prefer it just for like the experience of having an at-home spa. But with sensitive skin, you really don't want to put fragrance on there. And fragrance can mean essential oils, can mean like actual like fragrance in the ingredient list. But these brands that I picked out are really good for sensitive skin. Skin Fix is actually meant for people with eczema and psoriasis and rosacea. This is their foaming oil cleanser, which is a beautiful, like, it still lathers, it still foams, but it actually really helps reduce visible redness even after just one wash. And it feels great. It does help to remove a little bit of makeup, but not like a full on phase of makeup. But that one is a really good option. I often recommend to people with sensitive skin. Tower 28 is also known for makeup, but they have some skincare brands or some skincare products. They are eczema certified, eczema association certified. So I think they're one of the only makeup brands that is. So that's really nice if you're looking for makeup for sensitive skin and you also are looking for moisturizer. I love their moisturizer. It is not scented or anything, and it is rich enough to be used at night as well as during the day, especially if you lean more like dry or balanced skin. Maybe not for oily skin though. And then this is the last one here. My favorite sunscreen. Probably gone through like 20 of them by now. This is a Korean sunscreen. This is from Skin 1004. It's their SPF 50 plus. And whenever you see that PA rating on sunscreen, what that tells you is that it's actually really good for hyperpigmentation because it'll protect you from UVA rays, which are the rays that cause signs of aging such as dryness, fine lines, hyperpigmentation. In America, a lot of sunscreens are broad spectrum. That's what they'll call them. That means that they protect you from UVA rays as well as UVB rays. B for burning. So UVB rays, they cause, yeah, sunburns. The more sunburns you get in your lifetime, the higher your chances of skin cancer are. But I love when products have PA 4 pluses. Perfect. And then on the next slide, this is going to be products for anybody who already has a basic routine going on. I'm sure some of you already do something to this sort, but you maybe are trying to up the ante a little bit. Somebody asked for a toner recommendation, and this is the one. This is one of the toners I would definitely recommend. I added this chart here that kind of breaks down different active ingredients and what they're good for. I think this is such a useful tool, especially if you are kind of just like, what do I buy? Like you walk into the store and you just see the aisles and aisles of skincare and you feel overwhelmed. Knowledge is power. Once we have a better understanding of, what we got going on with our skin, what works for the concerns we're trying to treat, we can really narrow down the options a lot. So the toner that I recommended, since somebody's asking for a toner recommendation, this toner is milky, which just means it's not like super thin and watery. It's a little bit thicker. It almost is really similar to like a hydrating serum consistency, but I love it a lot. It's fragrance free. It is calming. It is hydrating. Anyone of any skin type can benefit from this toner. If you find that doing a basic cleanser, moisturizer, SPF skincare routine, you still feel dry, even if your moisturizer is very rich, that's a sign that maybe you want to incorporate a toner because that's going to deliver hydration that goes deeper than what a moisturizer would do. I love this Bioma toner because it's also really affordable, like 15 bucks. You can find it in drugstores. I love those. And then these other products here, from left to right, different. You might have seen them at the drugstore once again. This is a kind of retinoid. It used to be only prescription only. Now it's over the counter, which is great because it's really, really good for acne. This is a gel, and this is something you would use once a week to start, maybe for a couple weeks to a month. And then you could slowly work your way up. And some people might even use it as often as like every other day. But that is a really, really good product if you are experiencing a lot of breakouts. This topical faded serum, this is a great, it does the work of a lot of different products because it contains a lot of different ingredients to target hyperpigmentation, which is one of the hardest things to treat, especially because there are a lot of sources. Like it could be hormonal changes, like we talked about earlier. You could maybe get melasma after you start estrogen, just because it makes your skin more prone to discoloration. This attacks hyperpigmentation at all points of the process. So before it forms, while it's forming, and after there already is hyperpigmentation, it does everything. And then we have, I think somebody was asking about an exfoliant. So that's the next one you see here, actually. So the Dermalogica Daily Milk Foliant. They have a regular version that's a little stronger, but honestly, I feel like I like this one better. This is a powder exfoliant. So the way you would use this, you can use it as your face wash. Sometimes I'll wash my face with something else first and then I'll do my exfoliating wash. That's especially at the end of the day, right? When I'm taking everything off and I have a lot of stuff on my skin. The reason I really like this one is that it contains gentle exfoliating acids. So it has some AHAs, which according to the chart, AHAs are good for skin tone, texture, wrinkles, and also adding some glow to the skin. It also contains calming oats, allantoin. So even if your skin is sensitive, you can still use this product, especially because it is a wash off. So you'll still get the efficacy of the ingredients without it being too stripping or too drying. Love that one. Oh, okay. Let me answer a couple of the questions that have come up. Any recommendations on where to buy Japanese or Korean sunscreens? One of my favorite sources is Yes Style. So, yesstyle.com. They have tons of Japanese and Korean sunscreens. I have a discount code from them too. If you want, I'll type it in the chat. No pressure. It's just if anybody's interested and wants to get like 5% off or something. But I get a lot of my sunscreens from there. The one place I would not recommend buying sunscreen or honestly like skincare in general is Amazon. We just can't verify that any of the sellers are actually giving you product that is new and product that is official and verified. So, yeah. And there's other websites besides Yes Style if you want to check out Asian sunscreens, but that's probably one of the most popular ones. If you look it up, you'll probably like it'll probably show you some other ones like Stylevana. And then there's another question. Any suggestions for large pores? Combination more oily. You use Supergoop for sunscreen, but you're not sure if you won't need to use anything on top of that. And should you have a night routine? Yes. So if you are oily, you definitely need to be doing a routine day and night. You might just adjust which products you use during the day and during the night. So in the morning, definitely cleanse your skin. Definitely put on your sunscreen. You might not need to put on moisturizer though if you're very, very oily. If the sunscreen you're using is already moisturizing on its own, that's definitely going to help a lot, especially with just like if you're prone to acne as well. At nighttime, definitely again, cleanse your skin very well, at least a minute. And then you want to incorporate either something like the benzoyl peroxide cleanser I talked about from Different. You could use the Different gel as well. If you're not sure where to start, wash off products that are cleansers, that's going to be a stepping stone. It's not going to be as strong since you wash it off, but it'll still be effective. So try that out. Try that out and do it like once or twice a week. Add in that exfoliation. Don't go too ham at first. I know it's very tempting. And I know we want to see instant results, but we don't want to mess up our skin because that's just going to create more problems later on. All right. And then I'm back to the products I recommended. With going on tea, you're gonna get breakouts not just on the face, but also the body. I've been loving this Naturium salicylic acid body spray. It's great because you can use it upside down. A lot of sprays, you have to get it at a very specific angle, but this one, I don't need to bother my partner to help me put it on. I can reach my back just fine. So that is something you would use after you shower. Make sure you let it all dry before you put on your clothes and go to sleep. But that is a great addition because you don't want to just take care of your face only, but not your body. And if you get ingrown hairs on the body as well, that salicylic acid spray can be great for that too. We also have azelaic acid from Naturium. So azelaic acid, even if your skin is sensitive, especially if it's sensitive and acne prone, this is a great ingredient to help soothe redness and also help with breakouts. This is, again, like I would say the frequency to start exfoliants or retinoids or stuff like azelaic acid. Always start low and slow. You don't want to just start every day. And honestly, I don't care what the package says. A lot of brands will say this is a daily product, like the dermalogical exfoliant. Don't use that every day until you get used to it. Like really work your way up to it. All right, let's check out the next slide. Okay. I have done a lot of skincare consultations with clients. And again, right, having the knowledge, having the products is one thing, but how do we get ourselves to do the thing? If you can click, please, this is the answer. Mental gymnastics. Notice how the words did gymnastics. Okay, I thought it was funny with that. What that means is sometimes we gotta work with our brains slash trick our brains into doing things, everyday things that should come easily to us, but we're all different, right? We all have different like emotional responses to feeling demands from ourselves or others. If you want to be successful with having a consistent skincare routine, I think a big part of it is to just not be so hard on yourself. It's not about, like, oh, if you don't do this, you're a bad person. It's more so how can we reduce the amount of mental and physical obstacles that prevent you from doing the skincare to the level that you want. And then on the next slide, I'm going to be addressing a lot of like frequently asked questions. If anybody has more questions that aren't listed, of course, please send them in the chat or the Q&A as well. Before I go over the FAQs, let me address a question in the chat. What routine do you recommend before and after shaving in the bikini area to avoid ingrown hairs? Okay, you want to exfoliate the area that you're going to shave or wax the day before you do so. You don't have to do anything wild. And when I say exfoliate, that doesn't always mean using something really abrasive and scrubby. It can be a chemical exfoliant, like the ones that I recommended for y'all a couple slides back. Make sure you leave that on. So even if it's a wash off kind of exfoliant, leave it on for about a minute. That way it can really get in the pores and really break down the oils. And then you want to make sure that when you're shaving, don't use a dull razor. You use a reusable one. Just make sure it's clean every time you use it. Otherwise, we're introducing bacteria. When we're shaving, we kind of are creating open wounds, and shaving technically is exfoliating the top layer of your skin. So make sure that is clean. And if you shave against the grain or against the direction of hair growth, you will be irritating your hair follicles a lot more, which can actually lead to more ingrowns. So I know a clean shave feels great, but there's also that trade off if you are prone to ingrown hairs. And then after you finish shaving or after you finish waxing, you want to treat whatever area like it's your face. You don't want to just wash your face and not put on moisturizer afterwards, right? And especially for the bikini area, it's not getting a lot of sunlight. It's not getting a lot of ventilation. So make sure that that area is dry and all your products have like really absorbed before you start to just throw on your clothes and go about your day. So those are just some general tips if you are getting a lot of ingrown hairs in that area. But yeah, using some kind of exfoliating body wash or an exfoliant just in the shower will be super, super helpful with preventing those. And then back to the FAQs here on the screen. If you are somebody who is very, very new to skincare, I know it's scary. I know there's a lot to consider, but you want to just take a little bit of time to get to know your skin, get to know yourself and your own habits. Be realistic. Am I really going to do a 7-step skincare routine every day? Or do I need to start easy, 3 steps, and then work my way up to it? And when you're on social media, there's a lot of people talking. People will talk and have no credentials. People will talk and tell you to buy stuff without explaining why you should buy it. You want to try to narrow down those voices to the people who at least share similar struggles as you. So if you have oily skin, don't take the advice of somebody with dry skin, right? If you have acne and somebody with super clear skin is like, wow, I love this skincare products. Maybe it works for them. Not sure if it'll work for you. Just do some research, read some reviews, watch some videos. And in general, if somebody is not really elaborating about why they like something or why you should buy it, I would not trust them personally. But yes, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's okay to go to the products that are from very well-known brands like CeraVe, Cetaphil, La Roche-Posay. Those are all brands we can find in drugstores very easily. They might have a lot of options, but if you learn what ingredients do what, then it'll just help you make that decision more easily. And if you're somebody who really wants to be a daily skincare user, but you really struggle with the consistency aspect, let me introduce you to habit stacking, which you might already be doing in other parts of your life. You just need to figure out how to do that with your skincare. So, example, every day, let's say you wake up, you always have the same routine. You get up, you go use the bathroom, you brush your teeth, right? Keep your skincare by that area so that after you brush your teeth, you can wash your face, you can put on your moisturizer, and you can put on your sunscreen. If you are taking meds every day, like that's also a good kind of signal to do your skincare too. And once you start to do them together, it feels less like a chore and it over time just kind of becomes automatic. But figuring out your own routine, how to fit that in there, it's not a chore. Don't think of it as like, I need to do this. It's more so like, oh, I have a second to, brush my teeth right now while I'm here. I get to also do my skincare. So I look and feel good. And yeah, keeping your products in plain sight, if that is more helpful to you, rather than burying your skincare under your sink and making it really hard to find, try that out. If you are scared that you might mess up your skin because you're not feeling really confident about what you're doing or what you're using, just stay simple at the beginning. And like I said earlier, low and slow. That means use a lower concentration of whatever ingredients you're picking up and start off slow. Don't just buy a new product and then start using that every day if it's not something really simple and plain. if you're if you've never exfoliated before in your life and you're all excited to use your new exfoliants once a week, once a week for a month, you're going to give yourself time to learn about how that product affects your skin, whether it's helpful or not, and you're not going to mess it up by overdoing it because it's very, very easy to do so. You could also do what's called patch testing. So you'll apply a little product. You could do like your wrist, maybe your inner elbow, or under your ears on your neck. And just in that little area, leave it on for 24 hours. If your skin doesn't react to it, try it out on your face. And then let's say your face does react to it. Don't throw it away because you might be able to use it on your body. But yeah, these are options. We don't have to go too hard right off the bat. Somebody said, should we keep our skincare products outside of the bathroom or will it be fine against the heat and steam of the shower? I think most people will tell you, like, yeah, you should keep it out of the heat and steam. But realistically, unless you have the space to do so, I keep everything in my bathroom. I don't have that much room in my apartment, my living space, and in general, my environment gets pretty warm. I haven't personally noticed that my products are, really bad unless it's a very hot day. If I can feel that my skincare is literally like warm in my hands when I pick it up to use it, if there's a chance the formula might be affected by the heat. If you could keep it out of direct sunlight, I think that's great. And yeah, whatever makes the most sense for you, honestly. If you don't notice that your skin is reacting badly, if you do use skincare that has been in the heat and stuff, maybe it's fine to just keep using it. But yeah, not all of us have like a whole, skincare room or special designated area. But if that's a concern for you, that's not bad to keep it outside the bathroom. Okay, so something that happens sometimes when people try new products, especially when it's products that have active ingredients, such as retinoids, exfoliating acids, you might actually notice you're gonna break out more, especially if you already have acne and you're trying to use like a new acne product. That might be something you experience, and that's called the purging stage. Some people get this, some people don't. And it could also depend on the product. It could be a lot of factors. But basically, when your skin starts to get worse before it gets better, that's what that is. If you're using a product like salicylic acid that helps to break down the oil in our pores and kind of helps to bring up whatever has been cooking in there, like pimples and everything, yes, it'll kind of speed up that process and it'll seem like the product is breaking you out. But It's just that the product is doing what it's meant to do. You want to try to keep using that product. And if it still doesn't get better after a month or so, it could just be that product is not for you. But do not give up. If you experience purging, just as long as it's not like an allergic reaction, if you're breaking out in hives, if it's painful to the touch, those are all very different things. But if you're getting some pimples that you don't normally get, it could just be from your new skincare. You should not be getting purging if you're using like a basic cleanser, a basic moisturizer, a basic sunscreen. Purging is more common with ingredients that are meant to make some kind of change to the skin over time. But yes, get once you get past that point, you will see it was all worth it. Trust me. And then the last point, let's say you are so consistent and you've been using your skincare routine, the same one for months. You loved it at first, but then now it's like, doesn't work. My skin doesn't like it anymore. It really could just be that you have already gotten all the benefits, right? If you liked it at first, if you notice improvements at first, it could just be that you are so consistent that results are plateauing and it can only get so good. So once you get to that point, maybe incorporate a new ingredient or a new product that will work well with whatever you already have going on, just so you can get even better results. It's a lot of people think that it's like, oh, my skin got used to it. Well, kind of, but not really. It's not that it stopped working. It's just that it works so good that now your skin is better than it was at the beginning. And now that concern is not being treated anymore. So yeah, doesn't mean your skincare is not working anymore. Just take it a step up. All right. Someone said, I'm purging for sure. Godspeed. Hopefully it is over soon and you will get the skin of your dreams. And then somebody said, any thoughts on DHT safety of cleansers for those wanting facial hair growth? I actually don't know too much of that about that. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, but that is something that I want to look into. I want to do some research so that I can answer that question if it comes up in the future. Someone said, I used to have very oily skin and now it's more of a combination or still very sensitive skin. Yeah, that happens. That really happens a lot. Even if you're not taking hormones, just as we get older as well, our skin will start to change. That's normal. Nothing is bad or good. I try my best to be very neutral in talking about skin because we are really taught to dislike everything about ourselves. And we are convinced that we need to buy something to fix it. That's just not the case. I don't think skincare is about being a good person or being beautiful necessarily. Skin is an organ. It serves the function of protecting our skeleton and our organs. I think that's sick. And I think that the least we can do for everything our skin does for us is take care of it. So, yeah, I I really encourage anybody who maybe feels kind of bad about like their skincare routine or lack thereof or your skin in general, don't listen to the people who talk about that. I really don't like that approach because it just shames us for being humans when really sometimes all we need is a little bit of help figuring out what's happening. Are you taking clients and do you have contact info for us to reach out to you directly? Yes, so I do virtual skincare consultations. I have a sliding scale rates depending on what you can pay. You can email me at tiebrows@gmail.com. I put that in the chat right now. I don't know if it's listed on Plume's website or anything.
And Jay, just as a heads up, it looks like it's missing an L in Gmail. So
My bad.
I can retype.
Yes, please. Just because I don't have my glasses on. I'm missing letters here and there. But yes, tiebrows@gmail.com. You could just email me. I will send you the form to fill out. And on the form, I just ask for your basic information, what's going on with your skin. I ask you to submit some photos of your skin in natural lighting, different angles, just so I can see what's happening. And then we can set up a time based off whatever works best for you. But yeah, a skincare consultation is really the best way to get that one-on-one help that you need because we can spend all day talking about you. But in this workshop, right, it's more universal, it's more open-ended, just so I can get this information out to as many people at the same time as possible. And someone asked, for what tips do I have for back and body acne? So, if you work out at all, or if you have a job where you're doing a lot of strenuous manual labor, you're sweating a lot, you want to change out of those clothes ASAP. I had recommended that salicylic acid body spray earlier in the slideshow. That is something that's really helpful too. I don't think I included any body washes, but there are a lot of body washes that are meant for body acne. So, because it's a wash, it's not going to dry you out as much, but you address it the same way you address face acne in a lot of ways. Avoid using the same showering towel for way longer than you should. I like to wash my towels and pillowcases and everything every week if possible, just because we can accumulate bacteria. And if you are getting like painful breakouts on different parts of your body, especially the back, I would recommend looking into pimple patches. They're also called hydrocolloid bandages. So you don't have to buy the ones that are specifically called pimple patches. You can get hydrocolloid bandages to cover those areas, reduces friction. It absorbs any moisture that the pimple might release throughout the day, and it can help heal that quicker. But yeah, similar techniques for the face can apply to the body. Will there be a listing of products mentioned or a copy of the slides available? Somebody asked. Yeah, do attendees also get the slides?
So everyone will get a copy of the recording and any resources along with it in an email afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, what I can do is put together a list of all the products I've recommended, and then that can be emailed to anyone who registered, just because I know I mentioned a lot. I also want to reiterate again, you don't necessarily have to use every single thing that I recommended. I am talking about the products I've tried and I know work, and having different options for different skin types. But as long as you are also, learning a little bit on your own about different ingredients and doing some kind of research, looking at reviews and stuff, that will also help you a lot if you find that it's hard to get the products that I talked about today. Okay. Is there anything on the next slide? I forget. Oh, there you go. Yes. So that's our at-home routine, which is great for maintenance. But sometimes, if we're really going through it, if your acne is pretty severe or moderate, even if it's getting in the way of your life and comfort, that's when you want to see a dermatologist. You might have to go through your doctor first, tell them what's happening with your skin. They'll refer you to a dermatologist, and then the dermatologist can prescribe either tretinoin, isotretinoin, which is Accutane, and sometimes they'll give you like antibiotics as well. But you can't really just do one. If your skin is really struggling, even with a good, consistent routine at home, a lot of times you'll need that backup from a professional, whether it's through a dermatologist, or let's say you go to an esthetician and you get facial treatments done maybe a few times a year. That is going to give you the most well-rounded kind of routine and the best results. And for those who are on estrogen or anybody who is trying to get rid of hair, there's nothing that will really help you produce less hair. You would have to get electrolysis or laser hair removal. And that's something you could get consultations done for, and something I would not attempt. I would not attempt that at home. But yes, that is a whole other thing as well. And if you are getting surgeries and you have scars that you want to treat, that is its own chapter. But this is especially when getting regular skin treatments will help so much in the recovery process. There are a lot of great products that will help kind of flatten scars over time and help to even out skin tone from scars. But again, we can only do so much at home. It's really maintenance. And then all the heavy duty stuff a professional will help you with. And make sure to wear your sunscreen. Very, very important, especially if we're taking care of scars. I want to ask any recommendations about sweat folds and breakouts. So for breakouts, I would say just consistency with your routine, incorporating either salicylic acid, whether that's in a face wash or maybe like a spot treatment that you only use on pimples. Just trying your best to keep it going, keep your pillowcases and towels clean. Don't be so rough on your skin either, because that actually will cause more irritation which leads to inflammation, and that can lead to breakouts. As for sweat folds, that is a really good question. I know there's powders that absorb oil or absorb sweat. So if that is an issue for you, that could be something to look into as well. If you're finding that, let's say, like you're breaking out within your folds, same kind of treatment. You might just want to make sure that you are using a body wash every day that does have salicylic acid or some kind of exfoliation in it. So that's going to help with also body odor. It can help with that if you use glycolic acid, just to keep those areas nice and clean because they tend to get more clogged if they are kind of like folded or hidden. And then, are there good products for lips? The one product I swear by for my lips is going to be Aquaphor Lip Repair. Sorry, it's all blurry. This is not face Aquaphor. This is specifically for the lips. There is a notable difference in the texture and also the ingredients that are in both. So this is something that actually helped me recover from some weird like fungus thing I had around my mouth for a long time. I was getting really red there. I was getting peeling skin that was burning. So I could not get rid of it until I started using Aquaphor, and I have been a believer ever since. But I love that it's not scented. It is super accessible. You could find it at pretty much every drugstore. And there also is a version with SPF in it if you are somebody who goes out a lot or you want to wear it to the beach, protect your lips. If you have sensitive lips, try not to use anything with fragrance because our lips are super sensitive and different from the rest of the face and body. Someone said, I like to use the Yuka app to find out what chemicals are in skincare products. I know a lot of people like that app and use it. I personally don't recommend it because it is very skewed and it kind of feeds into this whole like clean beauty marketing, which is not based in science or research. It's more so based in consumer trends. Right now, a big trend is people wanting to be clean, but having that dichotomy of clean and dirty, really not the most nuanced way to look at anything in life. And especially for skincare, if you don't have reactions to certain ingredients, there's no reason to avoid them. I think that the best way to figure out what's good for you and your skin is to just try stuff and hopefully get a professional opinion if you can. But yeah, for anyone who might be worried about like toxic ingredients or chemicals in our skincare, that's a lot of that is debunked, and you can definitely look more into that if you're interested. How versatile is witch hazel? Very, yeah, very. It's pretty good for acne prone skin and oily skin usually. I like it more so with other ingredients, not just on its own, but that's just me. And then we have a few more minutes left. I'll try to get through the questions. Is it okay if I'm using hypochlorous acid spray as a cleanser when I can't get out of bed because of disability and chronic illness? Yes. If you haven't heard of hypochlorous acid, this is a molecule that's already found in our bodies. It's produced through our white blood cells to help with wound healing and fighting off infection. It kills bacteria, it kills fungi, and even viruses. I love hypochlorous acid. Great for sensitive skin. You can use it in sprays. You can find them. They're all in the market now, very popular right now. But yes, I like to use it after the gym too. If you don't have time to wash your face, but you want to kill that bacteria on there, that's great for that. And also kills like body odor. It does a lot of things. It does a million things. But that is perfectly fine. And especially being disabled, like we definitely need to be even more patient with ourselves when it comes to stuff like taking care of ourselves. So whatever you can get yourself to do, however many spoons you have that day, I'm all for it. Okay. All right. I think those were all the questions. I don't think there's anything after this slide.
Let's see.
Yeah, just to recap, right? So we learned how to identify our skin type and our concerns. We know the three-step basic skincare routine consists of a cleanser, moisturizer, and sunscreen. You can add in ingredients like retinoids, exfoliating acids, and other active ingredients if you feel like there are still certain things you want to work on that are not being addressed with the three-step routine. Make sure to work with your brain. Like, don't shame yourself. Don't make yourself feel bad if you aren't getting the skin that you want or you're not, having the routines that you want in your life. It's something we work towards, and anything is better than nothing. And consider reaching out to a professional if you are really struggling with some skin concerns that are severe or are really making you feel dysphoric and there's nothing you can really do about it at home. Yeah, just have a well-rounded approach, and I think y'all will do great. Yes, I think that was it for today.
Well, Jay,
Hopefully,
thank you so
yeah,
much. Thank you, everyone. If you want to share some gratitude in the chat, that would be, I think, well deserved because this was fascinating material, super important material. And thank you so much for sharing it, Jay.
of course.
Hmm. So,